Hello. Let's start the session. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very glad to introduce token-based authentication and unified authorization for Hadoop. I'm Liu Yi from Intel Hadoop team, and this is a security topic in Hadoop. We know that in the recent days, security is very important for Hadoop, especially when use the Hadoop in the enterprise or some secret areas. Okay, I know that many of you may a security expert or have many security experience in the enterprise security. So let's discuss and improve this. If you come up with some new suggestions or ideas. Okay, firstly, since I'm not a native speaker, so if I'm not clarify something not clearly, please erase and I will repeat. Okay, thank you. Now, first, in today's session, we will go through this presentation and see what the token was and what it can do. And in the end of the presentation, I will have a video demo to show. We will be able to see how token was work. Okay. So firstly, let's go to see the presentation. Okay, let's move on to see the agenda firstly. In this page, we can see the contents we will cover today. Okay, firstly, we will go to see the use case, the user requirement, Okay. The user requirement, and then we will introduce the what token was and what it can do. And the next one, we will do a comparison on the Hadoop security before and after we enabling the token was in Hadoop. And the next item, we will go to see an overview of token was. In that section, we will have a big picture of token was. And the next item, I will introduce the token. Token is a very important concept in the token was, and it's a very common and best concept in the security area. Okay. The next section, we will go to see the workflow. The workflows include RPC workflow, HTTP browser, and HTTP REST workflow. Okay. And the next item is the Pluggable authentication framework. The Pluggable authentication framework is very important in token OAuth, so I highlight it as a separate page. And I will introduce what a user or developer can use this Pluggable framework to do. Okay, and of course we will go to see the how to use token OAuth. So I will introduce some token facilities. The token facilities is to help a user to use token OAuth in Hadoop. And finally, we will go to see the map post of token OAuth. We will go to see what we have already done and what's the plan of the next steps. And after the presentation, I will have a video demo to see how it works. Okay. So in conclusion, we can see why we have token OAuth. Since in current Hadoop, we know that Hadoop support already supply we user or customer to enable security authentication, and it also have some authorization rule, but it's very simple. For example, in current Hadoop, only a few security authentication methods is support, such as Kerberos. But if the user want to add some customer authentication or some more complex combination of authentication, such as multi-factor authentication, now so we have TokenWorks to support it, and we know that in current Hadoop we also have the authorization, but the authorization for most of the Hadoop service, the authorization is RBAC for the Hadoop service, the role-based RBAC. But if we add the TokenWorks, we may have the ABAC, the attribute-based authorization, and we can do more better authorization. And our purpose is to supply infrastructure for the Hadoop security. Okay. So let's move on to the content. Okay, firstly, let's look at the first page. This page is to describe the current Hadoop authentication. Now, from this picture, we can see that in Hadoop, it supports security authentication, and the user can use Kerberos, and it can use Kerberos as the security authentication method to connect to Hadoop service, but sometimes user may want and also for authorization it will be done in the Hadoop service, but if user want to add some new authentication method or some do some more work on the authentication. Okay, so what we will see what he should to do. Okay, firstly, he need to do a lot of work. A lot of work may be modified on the both client side and the server side to enable the new authentication method. And another user may want to do add a new authentication method. He may also want to add a different authentication method. So he may need to do a similar work, and most of the work are maybe redundant, and we should be able to reuse them. So let's move on to see the use case. The user requirement may come from different user and from customers. The user may want to use customer authentication method, and he may also want to deploy Hadoop as a cloud service and use customer authenticators. And he may also want to have a centralized authorization server and do unified authorization. And he may also want to have some fine-grained authorization on the Hadoop service. Instead of actually current Hadoop can do authorization, but is maybe simple for the customer. Okay, and the last one, he may also want to allow. He may also want to integrate Hadoop with the existing identity management system. That's the use case of the user. So now we have TokenWorks. The TokenWorks is aimed to resolve the user's requirement. Now let's look at what the TokenWorks. TokenWorks is an extension of the current Hadoop authentication and authorization framework. It will not modify the existing framework. That means if user don't want to use TokenWorks, the original authentication framework can also be used. He can choose to use the original Kerberos as the security method. And the second is we know that in the Hadoop we have some internal tokens such as delegation tokens, block access tokens, and so on. In TokenWorks, we will keep and Hello? Okay, thank you. We will keep and we will use them in token OAuth. So we can think that token OAuth only resolve the issue of user to access and authenticate with Hadoop service. But for the internal of the Hadoop service, we will not modify. Okay. The third item is for token OAuth. It will allow user or developer easily add a new authentication method, and it will support multi-factor authentication to enhance the usage of Hadoop. And finally, token OAuth will support unified authorization and fine-grained authorization. That's the introduction of the token OAuth. Okay. Let's move on to the next page to see what's the status of Hadoop security after we enable the token OAuth. Let's look at this picture. We can see the above part is the same as before we enable token OAuth, but let's look at the below part. Okay. In token OAuth, we will have an identity server and an authorization server. And we will include a pluggable authentication framework which allow user or developer easily add his customer authentication. In the following page, I will give an example how to add a new authentication method. It's pluggable and easy to add. And since we have an authorization server, so unified authorization can be done here. And for fine-grained authorization in Hadoop service, we also support it. But since we can get more information of the user, so we can do more better fine-grained authorization. In the current Hadoop, we know that for authorization and authentication, the server can only get the principle simplify to only get the username and the groups. But Hadoop service cannot get more information of the user. But it will be very useful for enterprise security for authentication and authorization. So in token OAuth, we can do more better authorization. And let's move on to the next page to see the overview of token OAuth. This picture will give us a big picture of token OAuth and show the position of identity server and the authorization server in Hadoop. And this picture also includes a brief workflow of token OAuth. And but we will have a detailed introduction of the token OAuth in the following pages. So in this page, I will highlight to introduce the identity server and the authorization server. And the identity server, let's look at the identity server. Since it supports pluggable authentication, so we can see the user or developer can easily add customer authentication. A different kind of authentication can be added. For example, Hadoop, Kerberos, SAML, OAuth, maybe MySQL or other authentication method if the user want to add. And for authorization, we have a centralized authorization server. So the user can do some unified authorization in that server. For example, it can restrict the client's IP to only allow some clients, some user to access the Hadoop service. And other unified authorization can also be done in the authorization server. And for Hadoop service, the fine-grained authorization will also be done as the original before we enabling the token OAuth. But we can get more information, so we can have a more better fine-grained authorization. Okay. Let's move on to see the token. Before we look at the workflow of the token OAuth. Token is a very important concept, and it's a base concept in the security domain. We may hear the OpenID, the OAuth token, and the OpenID, the SAML token, and the other token. And in token OAuth, we also use the basic concept. And in token OAuth, it will contain principle which represent a login user. For example, the ID or some UUID of the user. And it will also contains attributes. The attributes may include many information of the user. For example, the groups and some secret information, the different department or some other information. You can think we can add into the attributes. And it will also include a creation time and expiry time. This time steps is to guarantee the token is validated and it will not expired. And we will check that in the server. And the token can be signed to make sure it will not be modified by a middleman. And it can be encrypted to protect some secret information in the token. Okay, let's move on to the next page to see the workflow. And since in today's presentation, most of the contents is technical related. So okay, let's look at the RPC workflow. And in the following 2 pages, so we will introduce HTTP browser and HTTP REST workflow. Since some steps are the same, so in the following 2 pages, I will only introduce the different part. But in this page, I will introduce step by step. Okay, we assume that the user or the customer have set up a Hadoop cluster, and okay, the Hadoop service should be a Hadoop cluster, not only a separate Hadoop service. And yeah, it should be maybe a very large Hadoop cluster. Firstly, he need to start the identity server and start the authorization server. Okay, now he should start the Hadoop service. Firstly, the Hadoop service should log in to the identity server, and the identity server will issue an identity token and secrets to the Hadoop service. The secrets include a secret key and a public key. The secret key is to decrypt the access token sent from the client to the Hadoop service. We will introduce in the next few steps. And the public key is to validate the signature of the access token. And then the user need to log in. The user may need to input his credential. And the identity server will issue an identity token to the Hadoop client. Okay. Now since it's a RPC workflow, so the Hadoop client may want to make a RPC call to the Hadoop service. We can suppose the Hadoop client is maybe a Hive client or some HBase client or other client, and then the Hadoop service will find that the connection of this request has not been authenticated. So it will request the client to do security authentication, and the client need to get an access token from the authorization server to access the Hadoop service. It will send its identity token and its server principal, which he want to access to the authorization server, and the authorization server will do authorization and check. Run a policy engine and to, for example, in this example, is check the user's IP, and it can also check users' other information such as the department or groups or other information. If the authorization is successful, then the authorization server will issue an access token to the Hadoop client. Now the client has the Authentication token, so it will send the Authentication token to the Hadoop service using SASO for a developer, we may know this workflow, and then the Hadoop service need to check whether the Authentication token is validated and it can represent the user. After successful, it will it will grant access to the client. Okay. In this workflow, we can see the client need to get the identity token firstly, and then get access token. By default, the identity token and the access token both are the token, and they have a lifetime. By default, the lifetime of the identity token is 24 hours, and the lifetime of access token is 5 minutes. So the client can refresh the identity token, and of course the admin can do revoke or some remove the identity token. Okay, and the lifetime can be configured by the admin. Okay, this is the RPC workflow. Let's move on to the next page to see the web browser workflow. The web browser workflow is very interesting, since the user can only use the web browser. It's not an application, maybe not a Java application, which the user can do many things in the application. So all the workflows should be done using HTTP redirect. Okay, let's look at the detail. The common part I will pass them. Okay. And now let's look at this step. The user will access the Hadoop service using his browser, and the Hadoop HTTP server will find that the user has not been authenticated, so it will redirect the user to the identity server for authentication. And the identity server will render a login page to the user. The user needs to input his credential. In this case, if the authentication is a multi-factor authentication, so the user needs to input his credential multi-time. For example, the first credential is his AirDAP account or some email account and the password, and the next credential is a PIN code. He can get the PIN code from his mobile or email. Okay. Let's move on to let's move on to the next step. After user login, and identity server will redirect the user to authorization server. And the following part are very similar, so I will pass them. And let's move on to the HTTP REST workflow. HTTP REST workflow are very similar with the HTTP RPC workflow. The only different part is that HTTP Hadoop client will make a HTTP REST call instead of RPC call to the Hadoop service, and the remaining steps are the same. So I will pass them. Okay. Now let's move on to see the Pluggable authentication framework. It is very important. It will allow the user to easily add a new authentication. So let's look at the detail. Firstly, it's based on the Java JAS, so it's very common. And okay, and it will developer or user easily can add a new module. It will support authentication chain and multi-factor authentication. And the server can interact with the user using the security callbacks. Of course, we will convert the callbacks to some visual display. For example, a credential page or some share comment line. Of course, we will see this in the demo. And the result will include principal and attributes. And it's very easily for admin, it's very easily to configure the login modules and the combinations. And it's built in AirDAP and Kerberos. of course, other module can be added easily. Okay, this is a very simple example. And the user or developer just need to extend the login module of token was. He just need to write some method, and the remaining thing will be done by the framework, and he can use the new authentication in the Hadoop. Okay. Now let's move on to see the token facilities. Firstly, let's look at the token cache and authentication file. Token cache is similar with the Kerberos TGT. It's to catch the identity token, and the purpose is for no profit login. Authentication file is to store the credential corpus for Hadoop service. Is also aimed to the no profit login. Okay. The token tool is to generate the identity token cache and the authentication file. Okay, finally, let's move on to see the map posts. We can see that what we have already done and what's the plan of the next steps. In this picture, we can see three phases. And today we were at the second phase. And for the first one, we have already finished the framework and enabled the HDFS and the YARN part. And we also support HTTP browser, HTTP REST, and the RPC. We have added some built-in authentication such as the LDAP Kerberos. And in the phase 2, we have finished the token management part, and also enabled token loss for other some Hadoop other components such as Hive, Uzi to keep HBase and so on. And in the next step of phase 2, we will enable the HA for the identity server and authorization server. And since Microsoft AD is very important and is common used in the enterprise, so we will enable the Microsoft AD as the identity management server. And okay, and in the phase 3 is many about the authorization, and we have finished a brief unified authorization, and also include a basic authorization engine. And in the next step, we will go to do some more fine-grained authorization. Okay, so that's the introduction of the token OAuth, and now let's finish the presentation and move on to the video demo. Okay, operator, can you help to open the video? Thank you. Yes, please. Okay. Now, let's look at this video. I set up a simple cluster environment and include 3 nodes. In the first node, it includes name node, data node. And in the second node, it includes node manager and data node. In the first node, identity server and authorization server are in the first node. Okay, let's look at how to log in use token OAuth. Firstly, he need to run the command to log in. In my case, I use LDAP. He input HDFS, and then login field he need to input again. And then he login successfully. He can list the HDFS directory structure. And then if we remove the identity token cache, if the user want to access the Hadoop service again, then the Hadoop service will throw exception to tell he has no right to access the Hadoop service. Okay, so then we use another user to access Hadoop, and we use Tom. Tom is another user, and but Tom has no read permission on the date directory. So we can see that the permission denied. Okay, this is the demo using the share. Okay, now let's look at if the user want to access Hadoop service using a web browser. Okay, now there's a login page, and he need to Okay, he log in and he can browse the HDFS directory. And since it's a single sign-on, so he can move on to see the YARN monitoring page. Okay, we can see at the right top corner, we can see the user login as a HDFS. Okay, now let's clear the cookie and login as another user, Tom. And then Tom want to browse the dead directory. Since he has no permission, so you can see the permission denied will be displayed. And of course, if he want to access the YARN and maybe other death node and Hub or HBase, some other service, we can. He need to log in use the token OS tool. Okay, maybe this video demo is a little fast. Sorry. Okay, that's all for the presentation and the demo of the token OS. Okay, any questions is welcome. And the questions? Okay, please.
Are you also considering scenarios where the user registration and the Hadoop cluster environment have two separate organizations, or is this all to be within one organization?
Okay, you mean the... Okay.
I'm sorry. The question was, this environment is built to serve, say, one administrative domain. The users and the servers are all. Are you also considering scenarios where these organizations are separate? One which provides the Hadoop cluster versus the organizations managing the domains.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's a very good question, and it's a very common question in the real deployment in the enterprise. We know actually identity server and authorization can be deployed into different domain, not be the same domain as the Hadoop service. And we support different interface of the identity server and authorization server. For example, HTTP REST and some other RPC. And so it will be very easy to access from different domain. And we can think this scenario. Maybe customer have several Hadoop cluster in different domain, and he can share maybe several or maybe one centralized identity server and authorization server to do authentication and authorization for all the cluster. He can also set up different several token OS identity server and authorization server. Yes, this is advantage compared to the original Hadoop authentication framework. We know that for Kerberos, we should configure a domain trust for different domain. And yes, okay. Okay, thank you. Questions? Okay, please.
Thank you. What are the key steps to implement this in some environment?
Next, which page?
Or how anyone implement this in his Hadoop environment?
Yeah.
So we can download some code or some steps to install.
Okay. You mean if you want to deploy this in the real cluster, right? Actually, we want to commit this work to open source. Okay. And if we can successfully commit to open source, then the user or customer can use. Our original plan is to put this feature in the IDH inter Hadoop distribution, but okay. Okay, but now our plan is to put this feature to the open source. Thank you. Questions? We have a few minutes. Okay, if you have questions, we can discuss together. For the maybe for the workflow or for the security of the token OS, or maybe for some other parts. Any questions is welcome. Okay. Okay.
Did you held any tests which can show how token authentication and enabling token authentication can affect performance?
Okay.
So different network load and some increase in timings of operations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Actually, that's a very good question, and thank you. And about the performance, we should consider it in the real environment because we enable token loss. We should consider whether it will affect the performance. We did not have a detailed data to show the performance impact, but we have do some test, some basic test, and we can analyze. Actually, for token loss, since we have identity server and authorization server, and for user just need log in one time from the identity server, and he can use the access token to access the Hadoop service. And for Hadoop service, I use an example. We suppose the user use RPC core, and for every connection, it just need to check the authorization token one time, and so if the authorization passed, and then the request, the following request from the user can be successfully. So I think overall and from our experience, it will not affect it will not affect performance compared to the original Kerberos authentication. And we have do some performance optimization too. For example, for access token, actually we will catch the access token in the HOS client. HOS is the abbreviation of the identity server and authorization, Hadoop identity server and authorization. We will catch the access token, and if the user maybe he make a different call but to the same server, so we will check. We will check the user has already get the access token, and if the access token has not expired, by default the lifetime is 5 minutes, and if not expired, we will use the original access token, and we will send and the user can use the original access token to access the same Hadoop service, and the server will only do validation of the access token, and it's very fast in the real environment. And okay, and actually, I think many people may concern this question too. So that's very good, and I think we may do some performance connection and detail performance data to attach to maybe to the open source Jira if we ready to attach the patch. That's very good. Thank you. Okay. Okay, since the time reason, I think we should finish this presentation. And if any of you have further questions, and you can contact me or contact Intel Hadoop team, we were very glad to communicate with you. Thank you very much. Bye.